Hello, Bucket List Gamers listeners. Cold opening, I know. What's going on? Well, I just wanted to add a very quick intro onto the beginning of this one to explain what you're about to hear. This recording wasn't ever intended for the Bucket List Gamers channel, but rather for our sister podcast, Bucket List Board Gamers. However, given Dan's vast knowledge and interest in video games, we strayed into the topic more than a little bit, and it became this kind of hybrid episode that fit on both channels quite well, so we thought we'd release it on both simultaneously. It was a real privilege for me to speak to someone who I've been a fan of for so long, and I think it's led to a really great episode. So hopefully you enjoy listening, and I'll let them get on with it. Hello, and welcome to the Bucket List Board Gamers podcast, the podcast where board gamers come together to talk about board games. I am Jay, and I'm joined on this episode by a very special guest, Dan, who is probably better known on the internet as Slopes Game Room. So firstly, thank you for joining us for this episode. It means loads to me. I've been a big fan for quite a while, so this is a real thrill to be doing this. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the intro. That's awesome. Love it.
You've got a passion for board gaming.
Yeah, to a degree. I've got a decent board game collection. You know, a couple of 100 board games maybe. I don't actually play them that often. I have so little time, you know.
I think a lot of our listeners will relate to that immediately. I know I do. Like you say, I've got a couple of, 3 or 4 Calexes full of games, and if we get two a month played that are new to us, then that's a good month. Essentially, we tend to revert back to the ones we already know because it's easier and quicker to just pick them up.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. I think they're a nice collectible for me as much as anything else, and I do need to force myself to play more of them. But I mean, you're probably better known on YouTube for long form investigation videos, I would say. History of games, and then obviously the Kickscammers thing, I think, is the big thing that you're probably most well known for.
Yeah, I didn't ever expect that to be the big thing for my channel, but it definitely went that way. Definitely, yeah. I do like the history of video games. I'll look at like one particular franchise. You know, I'm a big Sega fan, so Streets of Rage and you know, Super Hang-On, Outrun, Golden Axe, all that sort of stuff, and then I'll just focus on one franchise of games and then try and find out everything about it. But you know, I decided one day I'd look into Kickstarter, and I've always been a huge fan of Kickstarter. And I did actually, it was a positive video first. I did here's 10 games you're never going to get to play because they didn't reach target, but like really good games. So I thought, I'll do that, and people really liked it. And then I sort of twisted it and said, here's like the bad ones, and it just went from there. It just snowballed.
I think it's something that everyone's fascinated in because Kickstarter is so alluring, isn't it? You look at it and it's like looking almost into the future with some of the stuff that's on there, and you think, I'd absolutely love to own that thing. And then you look at it and you go, well, I'm taking a punt, which is what it essentially boils down to, isn't it? You're never guaranteed you're actually going to get anything. A lot of the time it comes off and you get this really cool thing cheaper than you would be able to get it at retail. You just have to wait, but you get to see the full journey, which is what I like as well. Getting to see all the development steps and what's gone wrong and what's gone right. But then the flip side of that is that some people, through nefarious means, I suppose, or just bad planning or just things not going their way, don't always deliver on what you're expecting to get. And you can't really be mad about it because it's in the terms, isn't it, that you're not guaranteed to get it. But it's always disappointing. And I know that the stuff that I've seen on your channel, I think I've probably seen all of them, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
The majority of them, I think, are probably people who had it planned out to start off with to not deliver.
It's half and half. So I think a lot of it, I don't know, actually. I think a lot of it, what will happen is, like, we've got this passion project, blah, blah, blah. They want to do it. And then all of a sudden, you know, most of the time these are smaller projects from people that don't have really much of money to begin with. They're just injected with like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're just like, whoa, okay, look at all this money. And you know, like, some people may go the wrong path when they're suddenly injected with all this money, and then other people, unfortunately, well, that is the unfortunate part. But then you got the other people that have the good intentions. But then, especially within board games, there's so many little things that you got to think about. You know, the board games cost so much money to ship. That's obviously the biggest issue. So many different components. A lot of people are like, oh, well, if I buy the cards from this place and I'll buy the pieces from this place, and they'll try and make it themselves, and then that's wrong. You know, then they realize, oh, then now the price of that's gone up. You get companies that want to do it for you, and they'll come to you, but then obviously the fees they expect to take from you, you need to put that into the equation of what you're actually going to be charging people. Because 9 times out of 10 on Kickstarter, in all areas, you know, I'm big into the video game side, so I'll buy a lot of video games from there. You're going to be spending more on the physical version on Kickstarter than you will when it eventually does come out.
Yeah,
you know, but for me, it's very much about helping the individual get that game made. And what I want back more than a sexy final product with, you know, a nice slip cover or whatever is actually them telling me the highs and lows of the development and the distribution of the game or the board game along the way. You know, if something goes wrong, there's a delay because of this. I want to hear about that, and I'm still going to be happy because they've updated me, and I get to see that process of an indie developer trying their best to create something new. That's the exciting part of Kickstarter for me, when it goes right.
Yeah, you're sort of buying into the development journey, aren't you? Not just the final product, and you want to see it all. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. Something could be delayed by 5 years, but if the communication's good, I don't think people tend to mind that much, as long as they think they're still going to get something eventually. I think it's when people clam up, which again, it's a natural reaction, isn't it? If something's not gone right for you, sometimes people don't want to lay it all out. They just want to close themselves off and think, oh, maybe I'll figure it out tomorrow, and it just snowballs from there.
That's right.
I've done a few of those. I think I mentioned to you when we were chatting on Messenger that I backed that thing that was meant to be able to cool a can of pop down in like 30 seconds. I think it was called Juno. And I think it was about 250 quid. It weren't cheap at the time, but this is something that I would love to have in my house.
Yeah.
And it went from the picture that they first pitched was this sleek little thing that was just about bigger than a wine bottle. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool to have on the side. And then the first like development pictures came up, and it was half the size of a fridge. Where am I going to put this? Even if this does turn up, and it's probably not going to do. And then they went quiet for months and months. And I was like, I need to get my money back here. And quite a few other people were asking for it. And I put in a thing not expecting to get it. And then they issued me a refund, which I thought was spectacular, because it's been like a year and a half. And then I think I was probably one of the last to get a refund. And I checked on it the other day. And 5 years later, I think it is, there's still people saying, oh, I want my money back. And it's like, when do you give up? Do you know what I mean? They're obviously not checking it anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've encountered that multiple times on the ones that you've investigated.
And some. They're for me now, it's got to a point now, because I've done over 100 Kickscammer videos looking into, and a lot of those 100 are like top fives of a particular, you know, like here's 5 board games or disgusting designs for a dog toy or whatever else. I've done the story now where they took the money and they ran so many times now that I've had to sort of step back myself to continuously try and find the more interesting stories, something that's a little bit more than they disappeared and we've never found them. There's so many of those, and it's really sad. It's definitely Kickstarter's better nowadays for that sort of thing, but at the same time, I still get people, oh, can you look into this? And I look into it, and I'm like, that person just doesn't exist. You know, and I've told you the entire story. The only thing different is the project itself. So I'm always trying to find things that are a little bit more interesting nowadays. I think one of the I'm working on one right now. One of the biggest projects I think I'll have ever done outside of the Amico system. One based on the Super Sega, which is a Sega console, an FPGA created Sega console that's going to be playing everything from the SG-1000 and Master System all the way up to the Dreamcast, and the whole thing's essentially, there's so many smokes and mirrors and changes about it. And he was going to be going to Kickstarter, and I think right at the end, it ended up not going ahead. That's one of my more recent ones. I'm trying to think of really interesting ones. There was one where a guy wanted to make the smallest 3D printer, and the money ended up, so there was 2 of them, and the partner that out of these 2 ended up taking the money and buying a house, like building a new house for himself. and there's actually pictures like, this is where your money's gone, this like beautiful mansion house that's being built, and it's just like, what? Why is no one sorting anything out about this? So I had to tell that story. There's so many I could go. There's so many.
One of the most interesting ones, which you actually mentioned again when we were chatting, is a board game related one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I'll let you cover off, because it's sort of 50% fascinating and 50% really sort of sad as you go through the journey of it, isn't it? It's quite heart-wrenching.
Yeah, so back then I was in a full-time job, a 9-to-5 job, and I was creating these videos, working another 8 hours every day to create these videos so I could get them out every week before I went full-time. And I remember everything would be done last minute because it was just so rush. And I'd created this video because I found this really interesting story about a game called Catalica. I'm saying that right? Yeah, Catalica.
I think so.
And so the idea of the board game is very confusing. It's a space-themed game where you try and take control of the galaxy. It's all very, very, star signs, and it looks all very mystical and spacey, like that sort of angle. And there was a few issues, and you said we were talking about earlier, like board game people are some of the nicest people on Kickstarter. When she was having issues with her, the printing of her cards and the delivery and stuff, she was posting about them. And people were replying, "Oh, do it this way, do it that way, blah, blah, blah," giving advice and just being nice. No one was upset. It wasn't that massive of a campaign. I want to say less than 10,000. I might be wrong. It was a long time ago. I looked into it now. But then one day she said that, I'm going to have to cancel it because essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially the sun is upset with me. And just completely nonchalant explained it like that, and then just went off. I'm like, oh, wait, what are you talking about? The sun isn't happy with you. And then it turned out, I mean, the lady has there's some mental issues going on there. I'm definitely not using the right terminology there. Apologies if I'm offending anyone. There's something else going on here, because she essentially believed the sun, as in the sun in the sky, was talking to her and tell her, look, if you release this, you're going to release the secrets of the universe. And I don't know what the consequences will be. We'll kill you. We'll destroy the earth. I don't know. And that was the reason it got cancelled. And I remember, so I wrote this story. It was quite interesting. I thought, I'll try and reach out to her. And I reached out and I didn't get any message back. I was about to go live with the video like a day later or something. And then all of a sudden, she replied back to me. And like, I don't want to use the word crazy, but I couldn't get any kind of angle in there where I didn't get the most nonsensical, insanely racist response. It was out of this world. Hey, there you go, out of this world. It was like nothing I'd ever. Go check it out. The Kickstarter that was destroyed by the sun. I think I called that video. The Kickstarter that was destroyed by the sun. It's so bizarre and bonkers. I don't think I've sold it too well, but it's just such an interesting story.
I'll put the link in the description of the episode for it, because it's one I've watched it I think, did you put it into a compilation quite recently?
I think I did. Yes.
And I think I re-saw it in that, and it just reminded me of it all. And it is just because some of her responses to you are actually cut into the episode, aren't they? Obviously, the bits.
I recorded the entire conversation. Yeah,
and even the bits that you could show are a bit like, oh god, like I wouldn't know what to make of this. So the bits that you left out, I can only imagine.
I know YouTube's a lot stricter these days. If I had to release that video these days, I would be censoring a lot of what she said. But there's nothing censored. If you want to go back and check that episode out, there it is. It's a scary one.
That's one of those interesting stories, though, that, like you say, is more fascinating than just shut up shop, disappeared, and you never hear from them again. I mean, and I think she did fulfill it quite a lot, didn't she? Did she?
No, it was really bizarre. So you paid for to have a board game, and one or two of them got sent out, and there was a bit of like joking because it just didn't make sense, and blah blah blah. People just couldn't work out how to play it. It was so nonsensical, and I don't know if it was part that, and then part this whole like the government and the sun are trying to stop her, and now there's secret cameras making sure she hasn't released this game, blah blah blah. So she ended up doing a completely different game that had absolutely nothing to do with the original, and that one was a card game. So like completely different. It's not a board game, it was a card game with loads of pieces, loads of like hardcore Dungeons and Dragons type dice and all these other things, and it was themed around sweets. And she'd done all these incredible sticking all sweets together to make like sort of a diorama of like these sweets like trying to beat each other up and stuff. So it was so far removed from what people originally signed up for. And I haven't looked in a long time, but several years ago when I looked, it was some people had got this new version, some people hadn't. I actually do have the Curse of the Candy Realms or something to that effect. Something about Candy Realms it's called. And I have actually got it, but I've never worked out how to play it and never properly played it, if I'm honest.
When I was looking into the original game, I think somebody's done like a print and play version of it now. So somebody who got a version must have scanned it into the internet, because I'm sure I found a website where you could download it. But trying to figure out how to play it from what I saw in your video, I think would be a very difficult.
I would actually be, I might make that a little Patreon video trying to work out how to play that game. That is interesting. I like that. So,
if I can find the link, I'll drop it over to you. I'm sure when I searched for it the other day, it said that somebody had done a print and play, but I could have misread it.
That would be interesting. We'll
see if we can find that and see what we make of it. But yeah, that's the kind of stories that I'm fascinated in when you do. Yeah. I mean, there's so many that branch off in all different directions. I know there's some that they're well over an hour, aren't they? Because there's so much that go into these stories and backgrounds. And I think the board gaming ones interest me, but genuinely all of them, just because of the amount of research you put into them and the fact that you don't just go, here's what it was on the Kickstarter page, and then they run off with the money. You actually dig into it and you try and contact people and you get the information. And I think that follows through on a lot of your videos, like the full history of Worms and stuff like that, which segues us nicely in, because there was a Worms board game, wasn't there, recently that we both
I've got it behind me. I haven't played it yet. It's still in its cling film, but the Team 17 sent it to me as a thank you for making that video, actually. I got that and the Worms Armageddon box set. There's like this new version of Worms Armageddon that they've released, like a is it 20th or 25 year anniversary? Something like that. Yeah, they've just re-released that and sent that to me in a copy of the Worms board game. I've heard mixed things about the board game. I mean, honestly, I've not looked at anything more than an IGN review. I don't know how reputable they are in the board game circles, but or any circles.
I was going to say,
but I mean, I'm definitely going to be playing it. I just need to find the right people, because I don't think my wife knows what Worms is, and my kids definitely don't know what it is. So I just need to find some people that play it and like get excited, and we can make the little kamikaze noise and stuff for me.
I made the foolish decision to try and paint it before we played it, and
yes, you did. You said that, yeah.
Never painted a single thing in my life. One of my friends is really into painting models, so he's like, come round one afternoon when you're off and we'll paint it. And I think I was there about 5 hours, and obviously we were chatting and procrastinating as you do. But I think I got about 5 barrels and 3 mines painted, and there's about 40 worms in it and a load of other like peripheries. So it's going to be a long time before I can play it if I have to wait till it's painted. But I might just have to cave in and have a game with them in the little grey and see how it goes. But I've heard good things from people I know that have played it, so I'm hoping it's decent. And it's such a good franchise as well, isn't it? To spin a board game off of.
It makes so much sense. It really does.
It's practically a board game in a video game anyway, isn't it? The sort of tactical like positioning and all that kind of thing. So it really does work. What was it that got you into board games then? Can you remember way back when?
Well, I mean, I always liked board games when I was younger, and I know this is like such a an obvious thing for like non-board gamey people to say, but I had a big Monopoly collection and stuff like that, and I ended up going to like charity shops and just continuously buying all these board games, but all of them were like like Pictionary or maybe a Simpsons board game or Beano or Turtles, or really, really basic stuff. And I remember a friend of mine introduced me to Catan. One of my nerdy friends introduced me to Catan, and I was just like, this has got to be the best game I've ever played. This is like incredible to the point where like, I don't want to play any game I have at home now since I've played this. And I was so into it. So I went and bought it for myself. My wife had moved to Chicago for a year on a gap year for school. And I went out there and I took, I remember I took all the bits of Catan into separate little bags and put them in my suitcase so I could fit in there quicker. And we took it out there because she was working in a hotel. So I would spend like hours in a hotel lobby with her throughout the night playing Catan. I was like, right, let's see what else we can get. And I went down the road and I bought Ticket to Ride. All these are entry level, but like entry level of that level of board games, like above Monopoly, but like not quite, Frosthaven or something like that. So all these sort of basic ones there, Carcassonne, the real obvious things like that. Ticket to Ride, obviously, we still play that one quite a lot. And over the years just got more and more in. I'm definitely more a resource management sort of Euro gamer than like fantasy role play type stuff. I've done that a couple of times. It isn't really for me, like pandemics and anything like that. I like all that sort of stuff. And in fact, bringing it back to Kickstarter, one of the best board games, one that we play a lot actually, is Saloon Tycoon.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that one, yeah.
Yeah, we really, really like that one. It's basically, you have your own little board in front of you. Everyone has their own little board where they have to build up their own Western style tavern. And it's absolutely awesome. Like, you can have your billiards room, and there's like, be a bit rude, but like the what's the right word I can put on a podcast? A naughty sex room, like that. All these different, like the Scorpion Farm, and you build it up, and you actually put down 4 little cubes to actually build up the levels of the bar as well. So it's like got a bit of a 3D element, and by the end you look at your awesome little bar. It's so good. We play Railroad Inc., I think it's called, which is a write and play, or
roll and write, I think it's called.
Roll and write, that's it. Yeah, we played that. Actually, there was a company called Iconic. They did, what did they do that I really like? Oh, They Live. They did a version of They Live. That's in the movie,
the Roddy Piper one.
Yeah, that was really, really good. And then they also sent me an early version of Saw, the board game, as in the horror movie Saw.
Oh yeah.
They said they're going to send it to me when it finally comes out, because I was actually working on a history of Saw, so I tried to find everything related to how the movies got made, and then all of the video games related to it, and then obviously I talked about this as well. That was so clever. That was like trying to get your head around someone that was trying to make one of these board games and how they do it. I was just absolutely blown away by the brilliance. I don't know if the game itself is like one of the greatest games I've ever played or anything else, but just the fact of they managed to capture the movies so well. The way it worked was kind of like you end up having to get 3 cards, like a beginning, middle, and an end, or however, you have to put them in front of you, and then they tell a story as you read them across the cards. It's like, hello there, and you actually it tells you how they're going to decapitate that person or kill that person, and it's all done in a really clever. Like, this is so good because you're trying to become Jigsaw rather than run away from Jigsaw. They're trying to find his replacement. I'm like, it was so clever, and then obviously you had a little like saw as one of the collectible pieces that you had.
That sounds great. I need to look into that because I've not heard of that one.
I was really impressed with it. They Live, like I say, that was one of their other ones. That was really clever. You actually have to wear glasses. Because in the movie, you put the glasses on to see the aliens.
Yeah.
And in this one, you put the glasses on, and certain cards have different things that other cards don't, but you can only see them if you're wearing the glasses. I'm like, very, very clever stuff. Obviously, I got Worms recently.
Doesn't sound great in isolation, that statement, does it? But you know what you mean.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. I don't know what else there is. I've probably done. There's probably others that I can't think of.
It's interesting how video games cross over into the board games, because some Worms lend themselves really well. Like you say, Saw and like films as well. Saw, I wouldn't have thought they'd have been able to get a good game out of, but it sounds like they've really reverse engineered it into something that works really well.
No, we only really played it once or twice. Like I said, I don't know how much longevity there is to the game in the long run, but I was just so impressed at how they did it. Yeah.
We played one recently. Funko did a Scream game.
Right, okay.
And it's really simple. They've not gone wild with it and tried to make it this huge, big, epic experiment thing. It's essentially, do you remember Atmosphere?
Yeah, yeah.
From back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I was scared of that. I had to hide that in my mum's room when I was a kid because I just didn't want that. I didn't want the gatekeeper under my bed. Love that game.
That is the game I can liken this Scream one to. It's not the same, but it's similar in that you get a mobile app because it's app enabled, because of course it is, and you log everybody in it as a player, and you can even upload pictures into it so that essentially the ghost face rings you. So what you're doing is the actual mechanic of the game is really basic. You've got a card in front of you that says you need to get 2 knives, a popcorn, and a cinema ticket. And then everyone has a hand of 4, and then you have to just frantically swap cards with everyone until you meet your requirement. And you've got to go through so many requirements. But what's happening is there's 4 locations in the game, and he'll ring you at random and go like, right, everyone in the school, you need to give me 3 drops of blood before I ring again, otherwise it's game over. So everyone that's in the school, you have to get blood droplets to them before he rings back, or you all lose. So it's a bit of a co-op game.
That's
and
cool.
It is quite basic, but when you play in it, it's so frantic, and just the app integration is so cool because it like brings up your face and it says your name and it says that he's ringing you, and then you have to pick the phone up and then he sort of speaks to you and stuff. And it's just
I've heard good things about the Funko board games, and I believe it's the one of the Marvel ones is supposed to be really good. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought it as a Disney one as well. They're supposed to be really good, but like I've never played them.
I've played a few. There's because the big one is like they do those Funkoverse ones.
Yeah, I think that's the Marvel one. Yeah.
I've got the Jurassic Park one, and I struggled with it when we first played it.
Right.
But then we went to a convention and sat down with them, and they taught us how to play the Harry Potter one. And they all work the same. Everyone has different powers and abilities.
Right.
And once they'd explained it to us, I was like, actually, yeah, we just didn't get our head around it properly, but now you've told us. And they are really good, but they did a really good Goonies co-op one.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Which is really good. And like, yeah, to say that they're primarily a figure making company, the board game side of it, they've done surprisingly well. Like, I don't think I've played a bad Funko game. I've played some that are all right, but I don't think I've ever played a really bad one. But the Scream one it stands out because it reminded me of that old atmosphere type. Somebody's just going to interrupt you at some point with something terrifying, and you have to deal with it there and then. Yeah. So I think you'd potentially like that one.
I remember I bought what one? I just had it. On Her Majesty's Service, which was a CMON game. I bought that. That was a Kickstarter one as well. That was a good fun game. I think I ended up selling that one. I think because I realised it was actually worth a hell of a lot of money second hand. And I'm like, you know what? I'm genuinely never going to play this game again. We quite liked it, but yeah, I got rid of it.
We've got a box full that we're probably not going to play these, or we're not going to play these again. We need to sell them, but I just don't like parting because they're so nice and like it's I'm so drawn in by tactile things. So if they've got really nice pieces and stuff, I'm like, but what if I want to look at it again in the future? I don't really want to sell it, but it's getting to the point we just don't have the room for them now, so they're going to have to go.
That is true. I've actually got another one off Kickstarter. Actually, I remembered now, a War of the Worlds board game, which has got beautiful pieces in. Obviously, all of the tripods and stuff. But to this day, I've had that. If you said I had that 5 years, I'd completely believe you. I may have had that for 5 years, never played it, and I really need to change that or sell that, really, because it's beautiful and it comes with a huge. I spent extra to get the big mat as well. I think I kind of don't want to get rid of it because my hometown where I live is actually on the map.
So yeah,
you know what I mean.
That connection to it,
yeah. Not that it matters, but like, yeah, they obviously is it down in Dover? Don't they go into the sea and that Thunderchild whole part, which is not very close to where I live. So.
Completely off topic, but we went to the War of the Worlds experience in London. I don't know if you've seen that. It's so good, isn't it? I just want to do it again. It's we did it, and I'd never had a massive interest in War of the Worlds up to that point. And then we did that, and I just became obsessed with it for like a year. I had the soundtrack on all the time. I wanted to read it, and I just got so into it. And it's just such a good thing to do. And we did the Gunpowder Plot one by the same people.
I haven't done that one.
Last time we went, and I'd say it's not quite as good, but it's still the same immersion and everything.
Yeah.
But it's just the War of the Worlds one. Just it fits so well with that, like running around and things grabbing you in the dark.
It's the music. Kind of it's that music. It's like when again going further off topic now, but like when I went with my kids to Disneyland Paris recently. There's a rock and roller coaster ride themed to Aerosmith. So while you go around, you hear Aerosmith blaring in your headphones, which is fine, but my kids don't know what Aerosmith is really. I don't know if that means I'm a bad parent. I should have raised them better. But like now, it's an Iron Man ride and father and son thing. Me and my boy went through all of the Marvel movies, and being able to watch him just like, oh my god, like, they're all like an Endgame, and like, oh my god, that character's here now and stuff like that. Like he's so obsessively into it that when we went on that ride, similar to War of the Worlds, so when you start hearing that dun, 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 it's like, I don't care if this is nowhere near as good. Like I'm having so much a better time because of that incredible music. And I think for me, it's like when I go into that War of the Worlds and you hear ooh yeah, like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
Because it's even like the bar area when you go in has one of them, doesn't it? And it starts playing the music and it shoots the smoke out to tell you it's your turn, doesn't it? And just the whole thing is so well themed. I just loved it.
I've got this actually. This is quite a cool thing. War of the Worlds. This is the video game soundtrack.
Oh,
it's a weird one. I think it's called Ulla Dubula. I think it's called that twice. But so I used to start so many DJ sets with that back in I was like 18 or so whenever that came out. Yeah, big fan. And it also, if you're really into like listening to the stories and everything as well, there's the what's the big podcaster people? The story Audible. They did a version of War of the Worlds. I don't know if you've ever listened to that.
I've got it because I got I was subscribed to that. You get one a month, and I ran out of stuff to get, and then I saw that, and I was like, I'm going to get that, and I've not listened to it yet.
Do it. Get yourself maybe on a big journey or something, and just listen to that, because I almost think that might be the best way to listen to it, even over just the standard. Well, I can't think of his name, Jeff Wayne.
Yeah,
it blends in beautifully. And then when I discovered that. What's the name of the guy, the professor that first sees them coming from Mars?
Oh,
I can't think of his name.
No, neither can I.
Ogilvy.
Ogilvy, that's it. Yeah,
yes, he is played by Aid Edmondson from Bottom fame and stuff like that. So I'm like, he's got a bit more of a posh voice. You can't really hear it's him, but when you know it's him, like, I love it even more now.
See, that's the thing now. I associate Liam Neeson with that role more than anything else. He's not
more than taken
for me anymore. He's just the guy out of War of the Worlds. But that brings it nicely full circle, actually, because one of the friends of our podcast, he's releasing a War of the Worlds game this year called One More Day, and it's like a card game, and we haven't had a chance to play it yet because every time we see him at a convention, his table is just rammed and there's people wanting to play it, so we've not had a chance. But he's been on the podcast before, so that one I'll try and get hold of a copy and drop it over to you if you're a big War of the Worlds fan.
I'll be very, very interested in that. Yeah, I'm a big War of the Worlds fan. The old school one. I actually really like the new generation. I think, like, if you take nostalgia out of it, new generation is probably the better soundtrack. I like that. I like that a lot. And I actually wanted to create my own board game at one point, and me and my wife got really far into designing it. The reason we stopped, actually, this is quite interesting. It's a prison themed game, and it's very similar to Prison, like Tycoon or whatever that Prison Architect it's called on Steam. Yeah. So it was, you build your own prison, put the showers here, and I put the little people that, their cells here and stuff like that. And the reason I stopped is because we was doing it really slowly in between me working on my channel and stuff. And then I found out that there was going to be a Prison Architect board game being made on Kickstarter. I'm like, oh, well, they've beaten me to the punch, whatever. And then it got stopped and it got cancelled. And I was like, I looked into it and I couldn't quite work out what had gone on. But from my understanding, the board game community were very upset about them being a Prison Architect type board game. So much so that they had to send out an apology and cancelled the board game. So, it seems like the board game community do not like the glorification of the prison system and turning it into a game, where the video game community are like, this is such a great game.
They love it,
So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to retheme my game somewhere, because it was very similar. And I look back at it and I'm like, actually, it probably was a bit on the edge. Like, because the idea is you want to not only reform your inmates, turn their lives around, but also make sure they've got the resources they need so that they don't kill themselves with depression. So I'm like, that's probably not the best theme for a board game. So let's just turn it into a Street Fighter ripoff or something instead. Maybe this isn't the way to go.
Definitely dodged a bullet with that one by the sounds of it.
I had all these ideas, like one of the tiers could be a picture of you behind bars as one of the little cells and stuff. I'm like, that'd be great. But
I mean, it sort of spins off the classic, doesn't it? Because there's a jail in Monopoly, so no one's upset about that, and you get sent there quite often. But
I suppose like if you go there, I know that's free parking, isn't it? Yeah, you get all the money in the middle. Yeah. God, remember those days? Free parking. Woo.
Monopoly's frowned upon generally in the board gaming, in the sort of hobbyist board gaming circles, but I still like it. It's part of my childhood that I won't ever forget, playing that with family at Christmas and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, and There's a game called Raccoon Tycoon. I don't know if you're aware of this one.
I don't know that one.
And it's sort of just, we played it recently, and it's just better Monopoly, essentially, is how I would describe it. And I think
it looks really good, actually, yeah.
They've done Raccoon Tycoon, and then I think it's called Lizard Wizard, which is just a reskin of the game, but with like wizards. That, if you prefer that to Raccoon, like oldie worldy raccoons running railroads, there's that version of it as well. But it plays really, really well. The problem I've got with it is the chap who we played it with, who also hosts on the podcast, he got the big Kickstarter special edition with all the bells and whistles.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I can't get that anymore. So I've got the bog standard one, and whenever we play it, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that little player tracker, and I wish I had this and that, and so it's it puts me off slightly, but it is a really good one, that one. I don't think it's expensive. You can get it for like 20 quid a lot of the time.
Yeah, I've just looked. It doesn't seem too expensive. There's actually on GameFound.com, which seems to be a new type of Kickstarter now.
Yeah. It's where a lot of board game publishers have moved to, because it's essentially Kickstarter, but just more geared towards your board games and card games and that kind of thing.
Well, they have Puerto Rico special edition. A friend of mine's got Puerto Rico, and I really enjoyed playing that, and I just never got around to buying it myself. And they've got this extremely nice edition. I'm not sponsored by them in any way. Please do sponsor me, because I would love to have this game. I mean, it's a good couple of £100 if you want like the really nice big 3D printed set with like mats and it looks exceptional, to the point where I'm going to be upset if I don't get it, and then I end up buying the bog standard version. Yeah.
This is the thing, isn't it? It's like that definite FOMO of like, you look at it and go, I don't need those gold coins, but how much better is it going to be to be like clanking them together rather than cardboard cutouts and stuff? And I mean, the most I've spent on a board game, I'm sort of ashamed to say, I'd only been into the board game in like a year and a half maybe, and they did the second, I think it's a Skyrim game, but it's like the second version of it. Sure. And I was looking at it and I was like, it's the kind of game that I will never get around to playing. That's the thing, because it's all miniatures and it's really complicated, and I wouldn't have time for it. But I was like, I love Skyrim, I need this. And I looked and the all-in was 465 quid. And I went to my other half and I was like, can I have this? And she's like, you're going to buy it anyway, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, pretty much. So she's like, yeah, go on then. And GameFound are really good because they do like the payment schedule thing. So it was only 40 quid a month. So like, I wasn't missing 40 quid a month so much as I would have missed 460 odd.
Yeah. Oh, mate, you're making me want to do that. Pay monthly on Puerto Rico. I think it's like $279, whatever that equivalent is for like with all of the special stuff. Maybe.
And then you've got to work in your little tax and your shipping, haven't you, as well? But yeah, I mean, say 300 quid, you won't miss 30 quid a month. Go on, you want to do it.
Oh, I know. Ranked 45 on BGG, best game. I mean, Puerto Rico is like super popular. Yeah. I mean, I can't say too much. I literally got an action figure here, one of two. You can't see people that are listening, but it's a guy from Streets of Rage. Wow. And he was £100. And I've got one of him, and then I've got one of Axel, and I know when they're going to eventually release Blaze, I'm going to buy her. And what are they going to do? They're going to go up there, and once a year I could blow the dust off them. And that is literally their job.
That's the cool kind of thing. I mean, you can't see because my office is shrouded in mostly darkness at the minute, but it is just rammed full of collectibles to the point I can barely move because there's so much stuff. I've got light up Pokeballs, I've got Game Grumps merchandise, Funkos. I mean, I got obsessed with Funkos. I've got over 500 of them in that cupboard just behind me, and I want to sell them.
Left now.
Well, this is it. I want to get rid of them, but I just don't know how. So it's going to be one of those where I just end up buying a stand somewhere and just going for the weekend and trying to shift them. But
yeah. My son's got a couple of my stragglers. Like, I think he's got Morbius and a few little ones like that, Marvel ones. But I've only got 4 in my room now. I've got Rick and Morty next to Doc and Marty. They're a complete set. They'll do. And then behind me, I've got the 4 ones from Portal.
Oh,
Portal 2. Yeah, you got all 4 of them. The Laurel and Hardy fat and skinny robot. One of the tripod things, and the main girl.
I'm just concerned that they're going to go the way of Beanie Babies, and I'm going to be stuck with a wardrobe full of plastic that's not worth anything anymore. So I think I'm probably at the point now where they need to make someone else happy. That's the way I'll frame it. Somebody else needs to be getting enjoyment out of these things.
Well, you should get, 500. I mean, you'll get a couple of grand out of that, wouldn't you, hopefully?
if the app is accurate, which I don't trust it as far as I can throw it, the collection I've got's worth about 10 grand at the minute.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because I've got a few really sort of rare ones dotted in there amongst all the other ones. But the problem is the ones that are worth all the money are the ones that I'm like, no, I don't want to sell. I've got like
of course.
I've got an NWO Hulk Hogan that's worth like £300 or £400, but it's like, no, that is one that means a lot to me, so I want to keep that. So yeah, it's one of those. I've definitely got a compulsive personality in terms of like buying collectibles, and once I get latched onto something, that's it. And at the minute for me now, it's Pokemon cards. I got into Pokemon cards, and now that's just my current obsession. But
that seems to be an expensive one. I'm very, very happy to say I've never got heavily into Pokemon. In fact, I think the only Pokemon games I've ever truly got into is Pokemon Snap.
Oh yeah,
which is obviously not Pokemon. Really. So I'm quite happy I've never really heavily got into that. I've always been the same as, well, the way you are by the sounds of things, but I've recently been trying to really push back. It's hard for me to say that when I just literally held up a £100 action figure, which I don't do anything with, but
that's the other side of it, though, isn't it? That action figure was £100, but it takes up relatively small amount of space.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of that stuff.
The Funkos and stuff are £15 each, but they take up a massive amount of room, and we live in a bungalow, so like I've literally commandeered wardrobes that my other half can't keep closing now to keep them in there because I won't put them in the loft. So it's getting to
in this house.
So it's getting to the point now where I'm like, she's going to get mad if I'm taking any more space. I need to start selling.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to start selling. I've sold actually in the gaming side of things. I've got rid of virtually my entire English Mega Drive collection because they weren't the games I had growing up. They weren't my original games I had growing up. They went many, 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 many years ago. And the PAL collection I had now, for the longest time when I got them, the most of it was accumulated 15 years ago when you was able to get them for £1 a pop or a couple of pound a pop. And when I would create a video, I always remember specifically Echo the Dolphin. I did an Echo the Dolphin history video looking at how that game and I was like, I need to buy the game just to show the case on camera. And I went and bought it. And then I went to the attic because I lived in a flat at the time. And I went and put it in my Mega Drive box. And I was like, there's already a copy in this box. And I'm like, I don't have any attachment to these games. I'm just buying them because they were cheap. And I put them in a box. Yeah. And now I've got maybe 80... maybe a little bit less than 80, about 70 Japanese Mega Drive games that I'm really slowly buying. But I could tell you every single game on that shelf because I've got that personal collection where I've actually built it up slowly. And I feel like that's a healthier way of getting the games, and so I've got a heavily, much, much smaller collection now. But I think I'm better for it.
Yeah.
I've just got to that point in my life. I'm like, do I want this game on my shelf that's worth £200, which I have quite literally never put in a games console, or do I want to take the kids to Disneyland or something? You know what I mean? Like, that could be 2 of our tickets to Disneyland. I'm like, yeah, I need to do the latter.
This is where I want to get to. I'm at the stage at the minute where I'm like, I want to be that person. But I come to sell it and I'm like, actually, no. Like I listed a Pokemon card the other day that's quite rare and it's selling for about £400 at the minute. And I was like, I could do with a bit of money. Listed it for $375. Somebody took the piss and offered $270, and I was like, this is annoying. So I set a minimum, and then somebody offered like $350, and I was like, should I accept it? I really don't want to sell it. And then my other half's like, if you don't want to sell it, don't. We don't need the money initially. And as soon as she said that, I just removed it. And I was like, no, I should be getting rid of these things. But it's one of those things I know I'm going to have to do soon. And I think board gaming, I think a lot of people in the board gaming hobby have that same compulsion of, and a lot of people don't. A lot of the people on our podcast, for example, they play games every weekend and they get through them and they sell the ones they don't
I would if I had more people around me that are into them,
This is it. It's finding somebody that's free to play it with and finding the time to be free altogether to play it, isn't it? And they manage to do that somehow. Whereas for me, it's like, say, 1 or 2 a month. But I keep buying them because I think they're lovely and I think they look nice on the shelf.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely a personality trait that I think a lot of board gamers and video game collectors as well have. That you want all that cool stuff. Like you want for example, I'm looking at now, the Majora's Mask Skull Kid figure, because it comes with the game and you're never going to do anything with it. Like you say, it'll sit on a shelf collecting dust, but you want it because it's there.
Yeah.
And I just think it's one of those traits that goes with video game and board game people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I feel so comfortable around a lot of them, because I'm the same person, essentially.
Yeah, 100%.
Is that a Wii U collection, or is it a Dreamcast collection
behind you? So I've actually got rid of the majority of my Dreamcast games, because again, they just were never getting played, and like, not to be that person, but emulation is now better than on that particular system, better than actually putting a real disc into a real console. Like, you go through Redream, it's beautiful. No, that blue collection behind me is the Wii U, my Wii U collection. There's probably about 25-ish games there. Underneath it is the Wii collection, maybe closer to 40 games there or so. My PlayStation 2 collection, I've actually really heavily knocked that down. There's probably only 25 or 30 games there now. My Switch collection, on the other hand, is actually out of control. I've put games now in front of games because I have so many, and that entire unit is nothing but about a third of them are the big mental boxed, stupidly huge collection versions of the games. Yeah, there's probably about 200 odd there's about 220 odd physical Wii Switch games there. I would say they're there, but they're not. My son would have walked off with loads. I mean, I've got loads like next to me that, they're everywhere.
How many do you actually play of those?
I do play a hell of a lot of my Switch games. I don't know. I definitely haven't played them all, because I mean, like, there's one here that I picked up because it was £5. You Suck at Parking, a physical version of You Suck at Parking, and then I bought it. I'm like, I've actually got it on the Steam Deck, like, as part of like a bundle I bought. Like, I didn't need to buy that game, but like, I wanted it physically, and I'm like, £5. It's supposed to be an incredible game. I love buying indie games for the Switch. I bought it anyway.
And that's it. I think that goes at some point down the line, that supports an indie company as well, doesn't it? Even a $5, it's gone to support an indie company. So
I reckon I play a big AAA, like your Skyrim or your Uncharted or something like that, twice at a push, 3 times a year on, get the PlayStation out, like a mental game like that.
Yeah.
And most of the time I play them like a year or so after they've come out, just when I feel like I've got the time to play on it.
Yeah.
Nearly all of the gaming I do is like arcadey or indie based, which is, there's a lot of arcadey indie type games. Yeah. They're the sort of games that I go for. Big time.
I think I'm the same. I'm all about a roguelike these days, just because you can do 20 minutes in between something else, and then you can put it back down, or you can get really into it and do like 6 hours and just get really good. But there's always a cut-off point, whereas when I used to play like Skyrim and stuff, you put that on for half an hour and you may as well not bothered, because by the time you've figured out where you're going and what you're doing, you've got to turn it back off again. Mm-hmm. I'm very much the same. I'm much into that. And Inscription was the big one for me for a long time. I absolutely love that game. And I'm still a bit obsessed with it now. And I got they did a little physical release of it. In fact, I've got it, if I can get it without falling over a load of other stuff. They did like a physical steelbook version of it.
Oh, right.
For the Switch, and I was like, I'm never going to open it. I'm never going to play it. But I need
that's the thing. I can't keep cling film on a game. I have to remove it, even if I haven't played the game. I have to unwrap it. The same as like if I get like a game from CEX and it's got that big fat. It infuriates me when I go around someone's house and they've got a CEX sticker, like trade it in now sticker. Like, take that off. It's like leaving a fag butt on the floor or something. It just looks so dirty. Like, what are you doing? But I have to take stickers off. I have to take the cling film off. It used to be so bad. I used to be so obsessed with it. Sometimes I give people their presents like, "Is this new?" Yeah. I just had to undo. It is. I promise you, it's new. But
that is something I do with definitely with board games. If I get a new, even though I have no intention of playing it, I have to open it. I have to punch it. I have to get it all in a ready state to play for it to then sit on the shelf for a year and not get touched. But I think it's that feeling of getting something new, isn't it? And wanting to look at it all and check it all out.
Yeah. Like, it's the geeky version, and even more, a nerdy version of the smell of a new book, and
which I think especially Switch games do, don't they? They have that smell when you first crack a case open, and it just takes you back to like my first real I had a Commodore 64, but my first like actual console was a Game Gear, and getting those boxes with the little cartridges in and opening that little clicky-clacky plastic case.
Open, close, just doing it over and over again. I've got a big little pile of them actually up here. Maybe about 20 games there.
I just love Game Gear. Yeah. It was, and looking back at it now, I don't know how I struggled through some of those games, but it was all I had. So it was one of those, like, you just keep playing it and just keep going. And
every single person listening to this, if they're into video games, everyone would have grown up on a game like, how did I enjoy this? And the point is, like, you would still enjoy it to this day because you just put so much time and effort in. Because that's back in our day, that's the game you had until like the next birthday or Christmas rolled round, and that is it. That's why I was well into Pit Fighter. It's a terrible game, but I played the hell out of Pit Fighter because it's
funny. It's funny you should say Pit Fighter because mine was Rise of the Robots, which
you
might
really had
be
to try with that one.
the worst Game Gear game ever. But because I'd paid like
the Game Gear,
which is even
I forgot
worse.
That was a thing. If I'm honest,
this is why, and I'm going way off tangent now, especially as we're on the board gaming one technically. But the whole reason I bought it, and I've told this story on the video game podcast, was somebody at school told me that it wasn't out for Game Gear.
Right.
And I was adamant that it was because I'd seen it in a magazine, and I was like, it is. And he's like, no, it's not. So I went to home and I was like, I really want this game, to my mum and dad, just so I could go in and prove him wrong that there was a Game Gear version. But then that was like, it was instant karma because then I had to play that for like 6 months and it was absolute garbage. So I got comeuppance on that one pretty quickly. But yeah, we'll have to do, if you're up for it, another recording that's more, I mean, I know this has been half video game anyway.
Yeah, more gaming, but I mean, that's fine. You know, it's all good. Like I completely forgot it was a Game Gear version. I tell you what, a Rise of the Robots board game would probably do quite well.
It'd be better than
there's got to be a card game. Yeah, there's got to be a card game or something they can make out of Rise of the Robots, like
there's a game called
I don't know.
Robot Quest Arena. I don't know if you've heard of this one.
I don't know.
I feel like it would be right down your alley if you've not heard of it. So it's a bit Robot Warsy, and it's a bit Rise of the Robots, I suppose. You all get your own little robot, and you have to fight them, and you collect energy cells. And when you get knocked out, you move out the arena, but then after one turn, you come back in and you can start collecting again. But the little figures...
It's like deck building.
It is deck building, yeah. There's a bit of deck building to it, so you have to collect the cards to do the actions for the robots, essentially. But the little miniature robots that come with it are amazing, and they're so
they
chunky.
Look beautiful. I'm looking it up now. Really, really colourful. I was expecting it to be quite a dark and dingy game, but it's like really nice and colourful, and yeah, it's almost like the Pokemon of robot games or something. It's really cool.
Essentially, yeah. But they feel nice as well because they're really heavy, weighty, like resin figures as well.
Yeah.
That's a really good one, especially if, like you say, your son's into gaming. I think he'd love that one.
We haven't got him into board games and such, not out of obvious Cluedos and Game of Life and stuff, but like we haven't pushed him into more advanced board gaming quite yet. Actually, no, I think we've done Ticket to Ride, but junior. That's as far as it's gone. But I think we'll get there. We'll get there. My daughter's a couple of years younger. I think they're the people I'm going to lure in. Because if I can't find people in the real world that want to play board games with me, I'm going to make sure my kids do it with me once a week, just so I've got someone to play. Maybe I won't play Saw the board game with them, but like
not yet anyway. Maybe when they're a bit older.
Yeah. But no, they like all the Monopolies. We were talking about Monopoly earlier. I actually had a collection of like well over 30, potentially up to 50 Monopoly board games at one point. And what it was, people were buying them but eventually when you get to about 20, people realise that's the thing that Dan collects. And then at Christmas, I would just keep getting given Monopoly board games. And I'm like, I kind of wish I got something else. Like, I'm not trying to be like ungrateful. I'm very glad that you've bought me Arsenal, the football club, the board game, but I don't follow football. I have no interest in like soccer, like British football at all. But cheers. And eventually it got to a point where I was getting, it wasn't Farmville, like that old Facebook game. There was a knockoff Farmville, and I got a Monopoly board based on that. And I was like, whatever this other company's one was, and I'm like, I don't actually know what this is, and I'm like, I don't need this anymore. I reckon I've still got about 20 of them, but I went to a boot fair one day and I just laid them out and sold them for like £3 a pop. But I've kept all like the really good. I've got The Office, as in the American Office. Board game that my wife bought me 12 years ago or something crazy like that, 10 years ago. Apparently it's worth loads of money now. I got like Nightmare Before Christmas, and everyone's got Simpsons.
Yeah, I think I've only got South Park at the minute. I got the South
Park. I actually
don't
have a South Park one. Love me some South Park.
The little miniature like steel Kenny was like, that's enough for me to want this.
Even
if I don't get anything else in it. So I got that one. But yeah, I think I've got the classic, and I mean the classic like it was my mum and dad's, and they're in their 80s now. So like that's theirs from when they were young. So it is a really old one.
We got bought on our wedding like this £100 or maybe a bit more big wooden version of
Monopoly. The deluxe one.
Yeah, it's got like really you flip it over and it's got Cluedo on it, and then you flip it another way and there's chess underneath and little drawers for your money and all that sort of stuff that poke out. I've got a really nice version of that. I've got one because I live in Kent in the UK. I've got a Kent Monopoly board, but it was released like 20 years ago, and a lot of the companies are like non-existent now, or they've changed names. I know the shopping centre in one of them is no longer that shopping centre, but things like that. So I really like keeping that one because that's like a bit of like a trip down memory lane one. That's a good one. So yeah,
the regional ones fascinate me because we were on holiday in Scarborough, which is on like the north coast of England, and we went into a charity shop and there was a Monopoly Coventry, and I was like, what journey has that been on to end up in a charity shop in like so far away? It was like somebody's moved up here, or has somebody just come for the day and decided to hand it in. Like, I want to know more about how that game got in this charity shop. But again, circling back to it, I like Monopoly. I know it's not the cool thing to say, especially on a board gaming podcast, and I'll get shot down for this. But I think it's got its place in getting people into gaming. I think any game that gets people more engaged in board games is a good thing, and that's a dead easy place to start, isn't it? There's always somebody around that can teach you how to play Monopoly. It's just built into our sort of DNA now. So yeah, I don't 100%. I don't mind it.
One of the quizzes I did recently, I try to do visual quizzes when I go to like gaming conventions, and one of them was I experimented to do it. I don't think I'll do it again, but I showed the places of a Monopoly board. I cut out the middle, but I showed the places of a Monopoly board. And you had to guess what the theme was based on just by seeing a couple of the places. Like one from like the Brown area and whatever.
Yeah.
I actually have a supporter of my show, a guy called Vitas Varnes, who is Kickstarter's biggest fan. I actually interviewed him, and he collects Monopoly boards. And what he does, he lives in Australia, and he goes around picking up cans. I don't know if he still does, but for the longest time, he'd go around picking up cans, like recycling. Would take that money to a recycling bank, get money for that, and then put thousands, sometimes hundreds, and sometimes thousands of pounds onto different video games and movies and whatever else, Kickstarters, just so he can get his name attach them. So it was his way of breaking into like show business, and he actually collects Monopoly boards, and he did so much. It was seen that he was like a big help to this area of Australia by doing so much recycling that when they did a local Monopoly board that was all based on local businesses, his name was in there, as in one of the places, and it's an official one. It's not one that he's had to pay for to be a part of. Like I think he did pay to do something or other, but he it was actually recognised as like a helper of a certain part of Australia or something. He sent that to me. So I've got like this really overly obscure Monopoly board. Probably the only person in the UK that has it, and you just can't buy it anymore. So I've got that one. And I opened it up. He's like, you took the cling film off? And I'm like, I have to. He's like, that's worth so much money. I'm like, oh, is it? Whoops.
That's so cool though, isn't it? That they do something like that and acknowledge what he'd done. It's just, it's, and again, that's the board gaming community for you. I know some video games do that. Like I think it was Starfield, wasn't there? They put that message in from that guy who was a huge Bethesda fan, and you can find a message from him because I think he passed away before it released. So they let him. I think they might have let him play an early build, and they put a message in from him and stuff, which is really nice. But
that's cool, isn't it?
Think you just get so much more of that in the board gaming community that people will go out of their way to do stuff like that for you, and it's so nice. But before we wrap up, because I've just realised we've been going on for an hour now, I've been waffling on to you.
It's all good.
I try and get these questions into every episode and fail miserably a lot of the time. I've tweaked it quite a lot, and we've gone with currently, if you were to be exiled to a desert island, the classic, what one board game would you want with you? So what we'll do is, seeing as we've talked 50% of each, you can take a board game and you can take a video game.
Okay, board game. I would take. I've got to have a board game that's like hardcore repeatable, one that you wouldn't get bored of. I'd almost say just a pack of cards, because then you know what I mean, something like that. But if I could be ridiculous, I don't know, like every version of Lorcana. Can I be that? Like that person? All of the Lorcana cards, or like Dominion, or something like that, where I like could really get. Like, there's so much variety there, you know, I'm never going to get bored. I think it would, even though I'm more of a board gamer than card building, deck building or card games, I think it would be a card game just because of the replayability.
Yeah.
So yeah, something like that. And then for a video game, it'd have to be a game that I can just play over and over and over again. So it'd probably be something like Binding of Isaac, because I've put stupid hours into that. I've actually got the board game of that, but I've never played it. The card game of that, but I've never played it.
Is it the Four Souls one in the really long box? Yeah, it's really good. I've played that a couple of times, and more than a couple. It was one of the first games I bought because I love the video game as well.
Yeah,
and we've played it quite a lot, and they've done really a great job of capturing the feeling of Binding of Isaac in it. So I think that is a good shout actually.
I'd probably do that. And I did buy his other one as well. He did one it was like a Dominoes one, but with like Tapeworm. It was Tapeworm.
Oh yeah,
he did one called Tapeworm. But what was hilarious about that is so it's essentially a worm going through poo, and and you have to just connect them all up, like the red one and the colourful one and stuff. And the kids think it's amazing, really funny to play as well. It's like harmless. And then he did an add-on where you could change it for willies. So if you wanted to, and I didn't go for that one, but what's hilarious is they accidentally left the instructions for the rude version in all of them. So no matter what version you got, if you got the Kickstarter, you got that in there as well. I thought that was quite a funny one. There you go, little Kickstarter story for you. So yeah, there you go, there's those two
good choices. I think thinking about it, it'd have to be something like Binding of Isaac for me if I was going video game. Or I don't know if did you ever play Undermined?
I didn't play Undermined.
That is a brilliant little, similar to Binding of Isaac, drop in, die, come back out, go back in again, but you sort of build up progressive power-ups and stuff in that one as well. But that one, I love that game, and they've announced that they're going to do a second one eventually, so I'm just sat waiting for that to come out.
Yeah, it looks right up my street, games like that. Big so Undermined 2 coming, sure. Yeah, all like these sort of like Vampire Survivors, Dead Cells, like these are the games that I'll just pump stupid amounts of time into.
Yeah,
more so than like the big AAA games. I just like maybe it's an age thing. Like this is the amount of time I have left, like to be able to play games in the evenings. You know.
Speaking of Team 17 earlier on, did you try Neon Abyss? That one that they did that was like a drop in.
20. I'm looking at it. I feel like I've got it, which is really bad. Like I might have it, but I've not played it.
That one's worth.
No, I'm thinking of a different game. No, I didn't. Yeah, I haven't got this.
That one's. It's a bit more platformery, that one, than Binding of Isaac. You have to actually go up and across and things rather than it all being on your 2D plane. But yeah, that one's decent.
I'll always check out what Team 17 do.
Yeah,
I love them. I love them so much. And what was really, really cool is they got in contact with me over the Worms video that I did. And I've actually now as well got in contact with Andy. He's actually right here, Andy Davidson in my chats, who was the original creator of Worms. So it's just really, it's just like, it's such a dream come true to know that these people are actually seeing the videos, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it happened when I got to work with Sega and obviously now with Team 17, it's awesome. Yeah.
And I know you've done a few things where you've met people who you've classed as heroes as well, haven't you? For the whole.
Oh yeah.
Oh, was it the guy who did Ren and Stimpy?
Yeah, Dougton Abel. Oh no, sorry, no, that's Earthworm Jim. Oh my God!
What's he called?
John Kay.
That's it.
The reason I had to look is because I've got artwork by him up right on my wall. Now, oh my God! Right, quick story time. I know you're trying to wrap up. Let me tell you what that's about. John Kay was my childhood hero. Like, obviously, you know who Walt Disney is. You know who Matt Groening is. But like, I was so in love with Ren and Stimpy. I thought it was the funniest thing, and I would never remember to set the timer to watch TV, but I always did for Ren and Stimpy. I loved it so much. And I learned who John Kay was at a really, really young age. I thought his humor was amazing. And he was very much came from like the really old school Hanna-Barbera sort of like school of hard knocks, I suppose, within the animation world, and that really resonated with me because I loved all that sort of old school Looney Tunes and Hanna-Barbera and like the real old school stuff. And so yeah, I'd love to meet that man one day. And then I always followed everything he did. He did music video for Tenacious D. There was like all this other stuff that he did as well. Like in intro for The Simpsons one day. Anyway, it came out that my hero was a paedophile. So that hurt. So you got to separate the art from the artist. The first ever Kickstarter I ever backed before I discovered that, before I knew about that, before anyone knew about that, a good 5 or 6 so years before that all came out, was a Kickstarter by him. First thing, I even got a credit card out for it. Never had a credit card before that. And it was so that I could get that bit of artwork on my wall so he could do a new cartoon. Overly delayed. I did a big video about it as well. Overly delayed.
Was it Cans? Was it called?
Cans Without Labels.
Cans
Without Labels. Yeah, the idea of it was his dad apparently used to go to the local shop, and if a can had its label come off, no one knew what was in it, so they would just sell it for like a few cents. So it was like when he'd come home, he was like, "Kids, what are we going to be eating today?" And it was like, and the thing with John Kay, really over exaggerates his stories. You know, like this stuff doesn't really go down the way he explained it, but like. For a cartoonist, it's quite cool to get into his headspace. It's like, and no matter what it was, we'd open it up. Like, you really want it to be peaches, or you really want it to be like this beautiful food, and then like you open it up, and it'd be like in the cartoon, it was a human face, and that's what they had to eat. But anyway, he was like hardcore delayed. Turned out he was a paedophile, and he was just like he handled that Kickstarter horrendously. Several years fell off the calendar before you would do updates, and it was the worst run Kickstarter possible. And then one day I did a video on him and explained this whole thing, and you know, to a certain group of people, I exposed him, I suppose, because even though it was publicly known, but it wasn't to everyone, and some people discovered all this information out because of my video. And then I got a message from him on Instagram, and he's like, "Oh, so I've seen your video." And I'm like, I was just so like starstruck, but like also this is disgusting. And I was the most, my 10-year-old self was fighting with my adult self in my own brain, like so much. And he was just like, "Oh, I want to send you the final video. It's all done now. It's all done." I'm like, "Okay." And he sent it to me, and I was like, "What? If it's done, why aren't you sending it to everyone else?" And he couldn't really give me an answer. And he just left it. And it was such a weird moment in my mind for me to go through. I was like, he was my hero. And I've finally got to talk to him. But it's because I've exposed him as for who he is. And it was such a hard moment for me to like get my headspace around that. And then I discovered, someone said to me that the artwork I might have might be a cartoon version of one of the young girls that he...
Oh, God.
You know, yeah. I mean, when I say young girls, I mean, I'm talking like 14, 15, but still, it's still not good, but I'm just letting you know there's not a picture of a baby on my wall.
No, it must be horrible to sort of... I can tell exactly what you mean, that
weird.
You want to sort of freak out and be like, "Oh, the guy I've idolized for so long."
Yeah. Oh my God, you're the creator of Ren and Stimpy. Yeah.
And like you say, separating that art, which, I mean, Ren and Stimpy was bizarre. I love Ren and Stimpy. I'm the same as you. Yeah. It used to be Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and then Ren and Stimpy after it.
100%. Oh, mate, take me back.
And it's bizarre, isn't it? And it pushed the line a bit, didn't it? Even on the non-adult ones, Ren and Stimpy pushed the lines a bit. But it was never that. It was never that kind of stuff. And then to find out that that's what he was doing and stuff, it's just... I don't think it tarnishes Ren and Stimpy, but you can't look at it in the same way. What
the thought process I've come to is John Kay, he came up with these characters. Like, he is the backbone of the show, but... Unlike, you know, where a musical artist or someone may be, you know, going down the same route, it's not just one person that works on this thing. There's entire teams. And a lot of the other people that worked on this stuff are still, to this day, incredible people. So just for me to, like, this is the way I've justified it to myself, for me to be able to say, I'm never watching that again. It's kind of, like, disrespectful to everyone else that also worked on it.
Yeah.
But there you go. There's a way to end the show. I think we've talked about a few dark things on this, haven't we?
that took a turn, didn't it? I wasn't expecting that, but
there you go.
To try and bring it back. I know you said Earthworm Jim. You met? Did you get to speak to the creator of Earthworm Jim as well?
Yeah, he's not the nicest person either.
Oh, is he not? Oh,
no. But Doug Tenaple, again, another one of my heroes. Basically, you just got to look through what was Dan into, like in the 90s. I'll probably steer clear of all of those people. I was really into Rolf Harris as well. I thought he was quite cool. I generally did. I was well into the old his little like wobble board thing he had and his didgeridoo. But Animal Hospital. Oh, what a legend!
God,
such a nice guy. Doug Tenaple is just his issue is just I've got no people that if they're left wing or right wing or whatever, but he's like that hardcore one that's destroy everyone else and hate everyone else. But he's gone so far, it's ridiculous. He's just one of them. There's nothing more than that. But I mean, it was still nice to speak to him. I suppose I liked Earthworm Jim back in the day. I mean, there's some really nice, cool people I've spoken to as well. Andy Davidson from Worms, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, and then you touched on it earlier on. I think the other big one is that's maybe not such a nice person is the Amico. I know you did
another one of my heroes. Tommy Tallarico was probably one of the first names I knew in video gaming. Definitely before I knew of Shigeru Miyamoto, Mario creator and Yu Suzuki who did Outrun and all this sort of stuff. I definitely knew about Tommy Tallarico, and dare say it that we was almost friends at one point. But
that video is such a weird watch because he comes across as like quite a genuine bloke when you watch some of that video, but then you hear about some of the stuff he did in that campaign and stuff, and you just think which is the real side of him, I suppose.
He just, and it's the same, not to give away my current video, but it's the same as the one I'm working on right now for the Super Sega. Tries to be as nice as possible, which, may be the personality he actually has in real life, but he will lie through the back teeth to get his product out, even to the detriment of the person that he's speaking to. If he knows in the back of his mind that it's actually going to really screw over the person that they're speaking to right then and there, he's still going to do that thing. And that's the sad reality of it. But for people out there that don't know, Tommy Tallarico, he's the guy that did, this isn't even completely true anymore, but did the music for games like Earthworm Jim, Aladdin for the Genesis / Mega Drive, and more upbeat, funnier ones like Global Gladiators and that. Dun-dun, yeah, cool. Are you ready? Yeah. But no, I've met some really cool people as well that aren't douches. I just, unfortunately, right now, I can only think of the bad ones.
What we've done there is given people a great hook to go across to your channel and check out all these videos. So where can people find you? Where's the best place?
Go to those search engines, whether that be Google, whether that be YouTube, all of those places, and just search for Slopes Game Room, and you will find me there. You've got the two types of videos, the history of gaming and whatever else, and then the history, or no more, that looking into the scams on Kickstarter as well. And actually, one that I didn't bring up earlier that we were talking about, I did a whole history on World of Worlds as well, so you can go check that out too.
Oh, perfect.
If you're into that.
It's all tied together lovely, hasn't it? And
Lovely.
We've got past that rocky paedophile area and moved back to the good stuff again.
God, those rocky paedophile areas. What's wrong with me?
So, and I have been Jay, and you can find me looking after the Bucket List Board Gamers Instagram page and also on the Bucket List Gamers podcast, which is more video game based than this one, which normally isn't video game based, apart from today, because we've obviously had a blurred line there. But hopefully, it's been entertaining for you to listen to. Thank you again for coming on. It's been personally a real pleasure to speak to you. And...
look, seriously, I thank you so much for inviting me on. I really do appreciate it. It means the absolute world to me. I can't thank you enough for people that genuinely watch the show. Like, it's ridiculous. My bedroom's the other side of that wall. I just sit in this room. I just make videos, and the fact that people want to talk to me about them, and then they do well enough for you to invite me onto things like this, like absolutely, like the best part of the job. I love it. Thank you so much.
No, it's been my pleasure, and yeah, everyone go across, check out the channel. You can also find out how this podcast came to be. It was essentially because somebody tried to scam you, wasn't it? So there's a whole video on there.
Yeah. That's one of my more recent ones
about them trying to steal your channel. So that's another, again, completely different to the others, but another really interesting watch. And for anyone who's got their own presence on the internet, probably a really useful thing to be aware of. Because It's so rife, isn't it?
Long and short of it is, if someone's wanting to do a collaboration with you and you've never heard of them before and you've got no interaction with them, be very, very careful. The video will explain the rest.
Perfect. But we will leave it there, and I will say thank you once again. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you to our Patreons. We've got Daniel in the Lending Library tier, and we've got Jerry in the Must Have Mini tier. So thank you to you guys. If you want to subscribe to our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/BLBG. All the information's there. There's different tiers that get you certain perks. We've not put out much exclusive content, I'll be honest, but we do plan on doing more. So go and check that out. And yeah, until next time, thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.